Alright, so I just got the Army Painter Speed Paint Mega Set 2.0 and am in the process of reviewing the entire set. What better test than recreating my Tyranid color scheme with these paints? To my surprise, I was not only able to recreate the paint scheme, but to simplify it and even make it faster, and recreate it with only using 2 paints, and that's it.
So what are we painting? These little dolphin-like creatures from my Leviathan set. We begin with an off-white primer of your choice and a thin overall wash of dark purple. In my case, that's Druchii Violet. This step is optional and it also works without the purple wash. Now it's already time for the speed paints. In fact, we only need 2 colors for this. In comparison, my contrast paint recipe uses more colors. Towards the end of the video, you can be the judge of which one looks better. We begin with Familiar Pink on the main body. The secret is to glaze the paint from the upper parts of the limbs and feather them downwards with a damp brush. This will create a nice and gradual transition to the base color. It's important to not go overboard with this, and trust me, a thin layer is sufficient. If you don't like the warm fleshy color I'm aiming for with the pink here, with this paint recipe you can actually use any color you want. Whether it's green, blue, red or whatever you prefer. Next we continue with the Carapace. We use Occultist Cloak for this. It's the same process as the previous step, a thin layer from the top to the lower parts of the Carapace. Avoid any pooling of the paint, we actually only want to stain the surface. With both layers completely dry, we return to Familiar Pink. When batch painting a squad, the paint will already be dry the time you finished all the other minis. This makes batch painting with this paint scheme incredibly fast, by the way. Once more we add a thin layer of pink on top of the previous one to intensify the gradient. Be especially careful not to overpower this layer on parts like the head. This paint scheme works so well because the off-white parts provide contrast to the mini like here and here. Now for the last layer of speed paint, we go back to the Carapace and do pretty much the same thing like in the previous step. We add another layer, but only on the tips to intensify the gradient here as well. I batch painted these minis and in the end I only needed 8 minutes per model. So this painting technique is incredibly fast. Look here, I believe in a group on a table, this looks more than sufficient to be tabletop ready. However, if you want to go the extra mile, let's explore some optional steps. The first one is adding highlights with the primer color. Using a detail brush, I add this color to the edges of the limbs, the teeth, the face, and really intensify the look of this paint scheme. We basically bring back the base color and add more contrast. We can also do this with a Carapace, leaving us with this result. So here we are, this is the result of my simple paint scheme. On the left we have the Speed Paint 2.0 and on the right the same paint scheme with Citadel Contrast paints. So tell me, which one do you prefer? Well, I see no difference. Speed paint works just as well for me as contrast paints. There are some differences compared to the contrast paint recipe, so have a look at this video here where I paint the Tyranid Combat Patrol in just 24 hours. You wouldn't believe the challenges I faced with that 24-hour speedrun. See you there.